I'm Nate Eaton with EastIdahoNews.com in Kauai, where Chad and Lori Daybell were served with 2 search warrants just hours ago. Law enforcement officers from eastern Idaho, along with federal agents and the Kauai Police Department, pulled Lori and Chad over. They were driving a black SUV. They pulled into this resort where I am standing. They put Chad into one vehicle, Lori into another. That's when their vehicle was seized and they had no way to get home. We had a chance to ask them so many questions that need answers. Lori, Nate Eaton with East Idaho News. Can you tell me where your kids are? Where are your kids?
No comment.
No comment? They've been missing for 4 months. You have nothing to say? You're over here in Hawaii? Where are your children? Yeah, why don't you just give us a comment? Just tell us where they are. Chad, where are Lori's kids? What happened to Tammy, Chad? Can you tell us what happened to Tammy? Why have you guys been in Hawaii for so long? Listen, just tell people what's happening. There's people around the country praying for your children, praying for you guys. Why don't you give us answers?
That's great.
That's great. That's great that they're praying for you, praying for your kids. What? You have nothing to say? Did you do something to your children? Are your children still alive? That's a simple question. I've got 3 kids of my own. I can tell you every minute where my kids are at. Where are your children? What do you guys plan to do now? You have 5 days to get your children in front of a judge in Rexburg, then what? Are you guys innocent of any crimes? Have you committed any crimes? Chad, you guys have a lot to say on your podcast. You don't have anything to say now? Lori? Do you believe that you were instructed by God or others to do something for your children? If you could give a message to them, what would you say? Listen, if you just talk to us, we'll leave you alone.
The family's worried. Tammy's family's very worried.
Tammy's family's very worried. Lori, your mother, Kay, came out. Kay and Larry, they're offering a $20,000 reward for your children. And you're over here on the beach? This is your chance to tell your story. Nothing you want to say? One last chance right here? Anything you want to say to the people in Idaho? Laura, you have a lot of cash there in your baggie. Were you guys planning to leave Hawaii? Were you planning to take off? And with that, Chad and Lori darted into this resort, and they still have not come out. Now, police have not said what they are searching for in that SUV or in their home, but one thing that was not found is Lori's children. JJ and Tylee are still missing. It was Sunday afternoon around 3:30 p.m. Hawaii time when Chad and Lori Daybell were stopped and served a search warrant. Officers checked out their SUV at the Kauai Beach Resort, a resort about 16 miles south of where I'm standing, but it's here at the Princeville Resort where Chad and Lori have been living for weeks, if not months. It's a really ritzy community. Several homes in here sell for over $1 million. It's gated, you can't get in, but last night our photojournalist Eric Grossarth was able to go in as police concluded a search warrant on the townhome where Chad and Lori have been staying. We don't know what police were able to get out of that house. We do not know if Chad and Lori have returned. However, as of now, when I'm standing here, it looks as if nobody has been in the home since yesterday. Here at the Rexburg Police Department, no sign of Lori Daybell and her 2 children, JJ and Tylee. She was issued a court order on Saturday that she had to have those kids here or at the Idaho Department of Health and Welfare in Rexburg, and it appears she did not fulfill that court order. 2 people who did show up, JJ's grandparents, the Woodcocks, they say that they're not surprised that Lori didn't come.
She's not going to make it easy. However, I don't know that she realizes the caliber of the people she's playing with, being the law enforcement. So even though she's managed to drag this from Arizona and Utah and Idaho and now Hawaii, it's going to catch up with her.
Now, it's unclear what will happen now with Lori Daybell because this case is sealed as are other child protection cases. But a judge could issue a warrant for her arrest because she is in contempt of court. The judge could also issue her a fine, or the judge could decide to do nothing. The prosecutor says he legally cannot comment any more than he has already commented, and the Rexburg Police Department declined to issue any further statements as well. As for Kay Woodcock, she's just hoping for a peaceful resolution.
We've got a whole army of people behind us that are friends and family supporting us, and strangers across the nation. I would like for her to be in jail until she talks.
Now, I also spoke with Fremont County Sheriff Len Humphreys this morning, asking if there are any updates on the autopsy of Tammy Daybell. He tells me nothing new to report. Lori Vallow Daybell first came here to Self Storage Plus in Rexburg to rent a storage unit. This is the unit that she put her items in. It's a 10 by 10, and over the next few weeks after October 1st, she came here a few different times. Surveillance footage from the company shows Lori or a man associated with her visited her unit 9 times in October and 1 time in November. She came alone once on October 1st, the day she signed the contract and agreed to pay $53 a month. She was driving a blue Nissan Rogue. Lori returned October 2nd and 3rd with a man who appears to be her brother, Alex Cox. His truck is spotted on camera several times during the month. During one visit, the two of them enter the building. The man looks back and forth as Lori opens the unit door. He then removes a heavy tote with something hanging over the end. It's placed in the car. They go back inside the building and he carries out a tire while she closes the door. Between October 6th and 26th, a man, presumably Cox, visits the storage unit alone 5 times. Cameras show him dropping off a variety of items, including gun cases. And then on October 28th, 2 men are seen moving bikes into the unit. During October, the visitors are seen with large, heavy totes. Sometimes they put things in the unit, then remove them within days. The last time anyone visits the facility in October is on the 28th. Nobody comes back for nearly a month. But on November 24th, Lori and a man are again seen on camera. They stay for 4 minutes and leave. 2 days later, Rexburg police go to her townhouse for a welfare check on JJ. The next day, November 27th, officers serve a search warrant at the home and then go to the storage unit with a search warrant. Inside, they find bikes, a scooter, winter clothing, a photo album with pictures of the children, sports equipment, a backpack with JJ's initials, a jersey with Colby's name, Lori's oldest son, along with ice skates and blankets. One showing photos of JJ, the other with pictures of Tylee. Detectives photographed everything, and in January, when Lori's credit card was declined several times, Self Storage Plus notified the police. Workers say officers have not returned since the end of November. Workers have reached out to Daybell multiple times, but they have been unsuccessful in reaching her, and she has not contacted them. Now, here at Self Storage Plus, they realized the other day that Lori may have been using their facility. They called their security system Elite Surveillance. They came up and helped them pull the footage, and now they are waiting to see what's next. Reporting in Rexburg, I'm Nate Eaton, EastIdahoNews.com. The Kauai Police Department arrested 47-year-old Lori Vallow, a.k.a. Lori Daybell, of Idaho on Thursday in relation to an investigation being conducted by the Rexburg Police Department. Vallow was arrested on a warrant issued by Madison County, Idaho, and is currently being held at Kauai Police Department cell blocks on a $5 million bail. I'm Nate Eaton at the Rexburg Airport, where Lori Vallow Daybell just got off this plane behind me. She landed in Boise earlier today, was escorted onto this aircraft. She landed, and I had a chance to ask her some questions. Welcome back, Lori. Where are your kids? Just tell us where your kids are. Where are your kids? Anything you want to say, Lori? Anything you want to say? How does it feel to be back in Idaho? What do you want to say to your kids? What do you want to say to Colby? Anything you want to say to Chad, Lori? Any message you have for people watching? Why won't you talk, Lori? Why won't you talk to us? Why won't you talk to the world? This could all be over if you would just answer some questions, Lori. What do you have to say? Did you commit any crimes, Lori? What message do you have for the world, Lori? I know you can hear me. There's a lot of people that want to hear what you have to say. We're ready to listen. I'm Nate Eaton, and we are getting a closer look at surveillance footage from Self Storage Plus in Rexburg. This is the facility where Lori Vallow went on October 1st to rent a storage unit, and inside she placed some very personal belongings, such as children's bikes, scooters, also some photo albums, and blankets with pictures of her children, JJ and Tylee. Lori and sometimes 2 men visited the facility 9 times in October and 1 time in November. The big question is what happened on October 2nd. We know that Lori rented the unit by herself the day before on the 1st, but on October 2nd, she came in her blue Nissan Rogue with a man we originally thought was Alex Cox, her brother. But a closer look of enhanced high-quality video shows it likely was not Alex. In fact, it appears to be Chad Daybell, based on the way he walks, looks, and comparing his mannerisms to other video we have of him. Let me walk you through this. The blue Rogue arrives at 2:25. You can see the timestamp says 1:25, but that's because the clocks were off, according to the facility. Lori is driving the Rogue and makes her way to the door of the building where her unit is. She gets out 2 minutes later at 2:27 with the man we believe is Chad. At 2:29, he pulls a tire out of the back of the Rogue and rolls it into the storage unit. Then 1 minute later, he and Lori both carry in together what appears to be a removable car seat. They put it in the locker, shut the door, and leave the facility at 2:32. Their entire visit is just 7 minutes. So why does this matter? Well, that same day, Brandon Boudreaux says that he was shot at in Gilbert, Arizona around 9:30 that morning while coming home from the gym. Brandon had been married to Melanie, Lori's niece, and he had a very large life insurance policy and assets totaling over $1 million. Months earlier, Melanie began spending a lot of time with Lori and her religious group. Then Melanie suddenly demanded a divorce from Brandon. The bullet missed his head by inches, and police say the person who shot at him was driving a Jeep registered to Charles Vallow. Charles had been dead for nearly 3 months at this point, and Tylee Ryan regularly drove that Jeep, but she had been missing for more than a month at this point. Now, if you're familiar with Jeeps, you know that many models have spare tires on the back, and if they are in place, the back window does not open. But if they are removed, that window does open. So it's possible that the Jeep used in that shooting had the tire removed, and that tire could have been placed into the storage unit along with the back seat of the Jeep. We would ask Alex Cox if that was the case, but we can't because he's dead, and police are not commenting. But if Cox was not in Rexburg, it's possible he was in Arizona, inside Charles Vallow's Jeep. The next day, back in Rexburg, Lori returns to the storage facility with another man who we believe is Alex. They were there for 3 minutes. You can see them entering, working their way to the same door she was at the day before, and going into the building. Compared to the guy from the day before, this man walks differently and carries the tire out rather than rolling it. The man we think is Cox also carries out the car seat by himself without any help from Lori. Originally, we thought this was a tote with something hanging over the end, but this higher quality video shows that it appears it's actually a vehicle seat, and Lori and Alex are likely taking it away. 3 days later, on October 6th, Alex returns to the storage unit by himself in his silver pickup and comes 5 other times that month, including a visit on October 28th with a man who appears to be Chad Daybell. They stay 6 minutes and wheel in bikes and other items. The last time anyone visits the storage locker is November 24th. Lori and Chad stay for 4 minutes and drop off this Home Depot box and a tote, leaving belongings of JJ and Tylee never to return. Police have now seized all of the items that were inside of that storage unit, along with the Jeep that was used in the shooting of Brandon. I'm Nate Eaton for EastIdahoNews.com. I'm Nate Eaton, and we're learning more about the events that led up to the wedding of Chad and Lori Daybell in Hawaii last year. You've probably seen the photos. These were obtained by Fox 10 News reporter Justin Lum. This is Chad and Lori on the beach on November 5th, just weeks after Chad's wife Tammy died in their Salem home. But check out this photo. This is the ring that was on Lori's finger the day of her wedding. It's a size 4 sterling silver Southwestern style malachite gemstone purchased on Amazon for $35.99. How do we know that? This screenshot right here. It was sent to me by a pretty reliable source and confirmed by 2 others. It shows Lori's wedding ring was ordered on Amazon on October 2nd, 17 days before Tammy Daybell died in her Salem home. It was apparently delivered October 7th to the Rexburg home where Lori was staying on Pioneer Road. But the name on the order was Charles Vallow, Lori's husband, who had been shot and killed by her brother, Alex Cox, nearly 3 months earlier. I'm told Lori continued to use Vallow's Amazon account after he died, and a website history on the computer from which the ring was ordered also showed someone searching for wedding dresses the very next day on October the 3rd. Now, these dates might stick out to you because it was October 2nd that Lori and a man we believe is Chad Daybell visited this storage facility in Rexburg, Self Storage Plus. This is the same day that Lori and her companion dropped off a tire and a car seat, and on the way out, the man she's with gives her a friendly tap on her rear end. Also, on that same day, October 2nd, Brandon Boudreaux is shot at in Arizona. He hired a private investigator who believes Lori's now deceased brother, Alex Cox, shot at Brandon. So on that day, someone shoots at Brandon. Lori visits the Rexburg storage unit and purchases a wedding ring. Again, all of this happening 17 days before Chad's wife, Tammy, dies at her home, and nearly a month before Chad and Lori tie the knot in Hawaii. One other thing, the ring is made of malachite. This is a mineral often called the stone of transformation, and it was mentioned in a document allegedly written by the husband of Lori's niece, Melanie Pawlowski. In the document, Ian Pawlowski reportedly describes what his wife Melanie told him about Lori's religious beliefs. And under one section called Spiritual Healing, he wrote, "Healing malachite solution balm. Malachite is said to have healing properties and administered by calling on it in a blessing." Now, Lori Daybell remains in the Madison County Jail on $1 million bail. Her next court appearance is scheduled for early May. As for the autopsy for Tammy Daybell, I just got off the phone with Fremont County Sheriff Len Humphreys. He tells me there is nothing new there and they are awaiting those results. Chad Daybell has not been charged or arrested on any crimes. For those of you just tuning in, we are over Chad Daybell's house in Salem. Chad Daybell was taken into custody earlier today. There is one backhoe on the scene, and police are digging right now in the backyard of this home. They have also plotted out at least 4 other squares surrounded by pink or orange tape. Earlier today, one of the officers told us they could be here for days. This search warrant could last longer than just today. It could be tomorrow and on to the rest of the week. A vigil is about to get underway for JJ and Tylee. These, of course, are the 2 children whose remains were found earlier this week at the home of Chad Daybell. Chad Daybell will have his first court appearance here at 11 o'clock, about 8 minutes from now. We will stream it live at eastidahonews.com if you're interested in watching, but I wanted to kind of give you a behind-the-scenes look at what's happening here. This is a home right across the street. How are you, ma'am?
Good.
Tell me what you've done here.
So my friend said, we are right across from the courthouse, so we have space that we can make some signs and express how we feel, and so that's what we've done, and yeah.
And this says Justice for JJ and Tylee.
Yes.
And then would you read this to me?
Yes. So this poster was a given, and then I was trying to think of something that kind of encompassed how I was feeling. And this quote came to mind, and it says, "Parents have a sacred duty to rear their children in love and righteousness, to provide for their physical and spiritual needs, and to teach them love and to serve one another."
We are talking with Suzanne Freeman, who is an author who used to work with Chad Daybell. Suzanne, we spoke just a few weeks ago before the latest tragic developments in this case where the children were found in Chad's backyard. And you were going through your emails just this morning and found something interesting. Can you tell me about that?
Yes. It's been a hard day. I have been asking for my rights back, and we discussed this before, and I kept the emails because I wanted proof saying, yeah, he said he would give them to me and stuff. And when I read through it, people who know me, I'm pretty blunt. And I was pretty straightforward with him and my feelings of wanting my rights back. And in there, and I don't have it memorized what I said, but something to the effect, if you continue to publish this material, there will be death and sorrow.
I'm Nate Eaton outside the FBI Salt Lake City division, and it's no secret that agents have been actively involved in the Daybell case, but a large part of the investigation is not being done here. It's being done here at the Regional Computer Forensic Laboratory in downtown Salt Lake City. Remember when investigators seized electronics from Chad Daybell's home in January? Those devices were brought here to the RCFL, where Cheney Eng To is the lab director and a supervisory special agent for the FBI.
We're essentially a digital forensic task force.
That's great.
The Daybell case is still very active, so Eng To can't speak to it specifically, but he is able to tell us what the 12 employees do here when computers, laptops, phones, drones, vehicles, watches, and other electronics come in.
If there is stuff on there that is going to help prosecute somebody, we want to find it. If there's not anything on there, well, that's fine as well, but at least the case agent knows for sure what's on there.
Let's start with computers. When one is brought in, a forensic examiner removes the hard drive and images or duplicates it onto a separate hard drive. The original is put back into the computer and left alone.
You can then hash it, which is just a mathematical algorithm. Think of it as a digital fingerprint.
Some computers have millions of files and terabytes of information, but with the help of software, examiners are able to scour the data for anything that might be helpful. Because they're working on a duplicate, the actual hard drive is never altered.
After we've done our examination on this duplicate, so to speak, we then run a hash value again, which should match the original one. And then if it goes to court, we can then say that hash value at the end matched the beginning one, which matched the original hard drive.
A woman who spent time with Lori Vallow Daybell in the Madison County Jail is speaking out about how the mother was acting days after she was taken into custody here in eastern Idaho. Welcome back, Lori. Where are your kids? Daybell arrived in Rexburg on March 5th from Hawaii. She didn't have much to say to me then, but when she was booked into the Madison County Jail, she opened up to a woman who was in the same jail pod. Now, this woman has asked eastidahonews.com not to use her name for safety reasons, so we are calling her Melissa Cook. Jail officials confirm that the two were in a segregated pod from March 5th through the 8th, and they were the only 2 women in there. Cook says she made it a point not to ask Daybell about Joshua J.J. Vallow or Tylee Ryan, her children who had been missing since September. Nobody knew where they were at the time, but Cook did not want to bring them up because she wanted to build a relationship of trust with Daybell. Cook says Daybell was always upbeat and friendly. She never showed any sign of heartbreak, never cried, did not appear to be disappointed, and was glad that she was no longer incarcerated in Hawaii because she said that there were roaches in the facility in Hawaii and that the conditions were, quote, awful. Now, the day after Daybell was booked in Rexburg, she was scheduled for her initial court appearance in Madison County. You might remember media outlets from across the country were huddled outside and hundreds of people showed up. Daybell complained to Cook about her dry skin. She was worried about how she would look during the court proceedings, so Cook gave her some lotion, deodorant, and makeup she had purchased from the commissary. Now, many inmates also use Jolly Rancher candies and colored pencils for lipstick or eyeshadow. Cook says Daybell knew that this was a big deal and she was actually looking forward to it. When she returned to her jail cell hours later, she wanted Cook to watch the news with her. Actually, when it came on, she said, "Here it comes. Here's my story. Turn it up. Let's see what they say about me now." 1 year ago today, Tammy Daybell died in her Fremont County home. It was October 19th, 2019. And within a few days, she was buried in the cemetery in Springville. Well, now, today, on the anniversary of her death, her family has announced the Tammy Douglas Daybell Foundation. This is a foundation that is meant to appreciate Tammy's love of literacy and service. In fact, the family sent us a statement. They said the mission of the Tammy Douglas Daybell Foundation is to give children the opportunity to love the written word. The foundation has been established as a nonprofit organization and has been granted 501c3 status, but is not able to accept donations at this time. But eventually, you will be able to donate to the foundation, and everybody from all 50 states will be able to give a donation in honor of Tammy. Of course, Tammy was the mother of 5 children and a few grandchildren, and she was known for her love of reading and her love of serving others. The Fremont County Sheriff's Office was called out to Tammy and Chad's house 1 year ago. Chad told them that she had gone to bed coughing, that she passed away in her sleep. She was buried in Springville. They then exhumed her body after police began investigating, and now police have called her death suspicious. Now, the Attorney General's office in Idaho is investigating Tammy's death. I emailed a spokesman this morning. He wrote me back and said that the investigation is ongoing. They had no further comment, and autopsy results have not been released on Tammy's death yet.